Once the Valiant had to be replaced by the company, they got us this new Peugeot. Now we'd gone up in life a bit. This was a GL, and it was a 4 on the floor gearbox, not on the steering wheel as the old ones were. This photo shows us travelling down a road in Delareval, and that particularly had rained so much that we were cut off from the rest of the world for a week. It was quite amazing. The entire town was surrounded by water and none of the roads could be used to get out. It was actually quite amazing. The fuel tanks from the railways were floating around in the pan at the lower end of Delareval. And another thing that happened was our eldest son Mark, not listening to his mom, fell into the water where it was gushing through a culvert into the pan. And she jumped in to save him, and she had a jeans outfit on, which obviously immediately became very heavy. And somebody jumped in, a guy in a white safari suit, and helped her. And we never got his name. We've never been able to say properly thank you. But if it wasn't for him, they would most probably both have drowned. I used to use the Foxy as a reserve car when my car was in for service, and I'd go and visit farmers with a Voermel cattle feed. Eventually, the big fan that was used to cool the engine, it obviously wasn't water cooled, it was air cooled, sucked up a lot of grass one year when there was good rain. The engine just never came right. It overheated a bit and started leaking oil. So we traded it in Lichtenburg at some Indians on this Peugeot 403. Beautiful little car, so well looked after. But the engine also had terrible oil leaks. And for the love of Mike, I could not get that engine out of the body to replace all the leaking parts. I just couldn't do it. We got rid of that and we only had it for about 6 months. Just about at the same time, I decided that this Voermel game was no good for me. I wasn't cut out for that. And I went back to the oil company, and the only place available in Delareval was with Esso, which was at that stage in South Africa. They had a car allowance scheme, which allowed you to buy virtually what you wanted to. And I bought this Toyota Corona. It was actually a second-hand vehicle in mint condition. It gave us the best of service. Nothing special, as Coronas and Corollas sort of are, but a very good car. We also virtually at the same time got rid of that Peugeot 403, of course, and we bought this green Foxy. Magnificent condition. It gave us service for years and years and years. We got 2 similar number plates, TBE 1221 and TBE 1771. This photo was taken at the Esso depot. Marie used to work there, and our middle son disappeared one day, and he climbed up this high tank full of petrol. When he got to the top, the petrol fumes almost overtook him, and when he looked out of the door, Michael was swinging from side to side on top of this petrol tank, having been affected by the fuel. So we just managed to get him down in time. Then, one of the most magnificent vehicles we bought in our entire marriage. I went through to Vryburg to go and visit the Esso depot there. The guy at the depot also used to put up tanks for Esso. He had this Volkswagen panel van that he was using, but it got so old that he sold it to the scrapyard for $150. It was still in the yard, so I said to him, hey, I'll give you $150 for that thing. And I bought it from him, took it back to Delareval, went through it, and as I said, I knew Foxys. The engine had gone, bought a replacement engine, popped that in. We used that thing for so many years, I can't believe it. And the fun that we had with it. I eventually put up tanks. I changed from Esso and moved over to Trek, and I used to put up tanks for them as well. I used to be able to load 2 tanks on the back and the supports all by myself and re-erect them on a farm. Yeah, I used to work hard with those tanks. But what became an institution with us was that every New Year's Eve, after I'd left Trek and I'd gone to a business by the name of Netfin who did financing, part of the Nedbank group, all the staff used to come and get onto the back of this bakkie, and we'd go riding through town, and for some unknown reason, we'd throw off all the dirt that we'd collected in our garden as we went through town. Everybody loved it. Stupid, but it's one of the great memories of that time of our lives. I jumped around a bit with the Volkswagen Bakkie because that was our car and not one that I was using for work, so it sort of overlapped between different cars that I had. At the work at Netfin, we also had a car allowance, so we could buy cars up to a certain value. The first one I got was this Datsun Stanza 1600 Deluxe. Wow, automatic. I was particularly proud of that little car. The very first week I had it, we had to go and pick up my folks. They came down from Petersburg by train, and for some reason I had to go through to Potchefstroom and fetch them at the station. And as my old mate offloaded the suitcases off the train, he scratched the whole side of the car. I couldn't get it over my heart to tell him about it. I only told him years later what he'd done. That's an ongoing memory with that particular car. Another memory was in this garage on the photo. My son was a motor car fanatic by this stage, and he was cleaning the car for me all by himself, not being asked. Had it parked up on that ramp, and he was blacking the wheels. He wanted to move the car back a little bit because he wanted the wheel to turn that he could get to the bottom part of the wheel that hadn't been blackened yet. And as he took it out of drive into neutral, the car started going backwards. The door was open, and he folded the driver's door back against the front of the car. I wasn't very happy about it, but there was more to come from that side.
After the Datsun Stanza, 2 Toyota Cressidas came into our lives. Really great, dependable cars. I don't really remember anything special about them, any special trips, but they were always there, except for one thing. You'll remember from the previous Datsun Stanza I told you about my son writing off the car virtually in the garage. Lo and behold, this one, same thing. Also cleaning the car, very impressed with it, looking after it nicely. He was cleaning it in the garage and he wanted to just pull it forward a little bit to once again clean those tires where they had to be blackened at the bottom. Put it into gear, pushed the accelerator and rode it right up against the front wall of the garage. And split the whole front of the car open, but the car went, and it was just before we were going to go on leave. So I decided, well, to hell with that, and we went on leave with this old terrible looking brand new car with the whole front sort of split open, and only had it fixed afterwards. That son of mine. After those huge Cressidas, I made quite a dramatic change and decided that financially it was making no sense to drive these huge cars when I could buy a much smaller vehicle, namely a little Volkswagen Golf. Not only that, I bought a diesel engined Golf, and then I took a bit of a chance, but I tell you what, this was quite a financial improvement in our lives, thank goodness. I put up a tank at a friend of mine who had a farm not too far from town, and we used to order farm rate diesel, and we used that in the car for quite a number of years. Also, the first diesel car that we got, my loving wife was driving home with it one afternoon. She also worked at Netfin at that stage, was involved in a 5-car pileup. Not her fault at all. We then had to get another one. So we drove 2 of these Volkswagen Golfs with all the children, everything once again, no problem. But we put a lot of money in our pockets. We really got sort of on a much more stable footing financially, which helped us tremendously after that. Remember that we were being refunded at petrol price rates on car travel by the company, and we were now using much less expensive fuel. So this really helped put us on our feet as far as financing was concerned. Again, a car comes to our rescue in our lifetime, this time for our finances. Yet another Volkswagen came into our lives, this time a Passat, the hatchback one. I remember the advert so well, it was like a bullet going through the air. It said this thing would cut through the air the same way, and it was a very good car. No hassles, no problems, but nothing special happened during the period we had this car. Then, as happens in life, our fortunes took a bit of a downturn. I lost the job at Netfin, tried the insurance thing, which didn't work well at all. I bought this Alfa Giulietta second-hand from somebody, and this guy took us for a real ride. The flywheel kept on coming loose, and I spent much money on this thing that I didn't have. Eventually got rid of it as soon as possible. What an exciting car to drive, these Alfas.